And we'll turn it over to you, Clay. Good afternoon.
Hi, guys. Great to see everybody. I know it's been a little bit of time, but really excited to welcome our 2021 signing class to the Trojan family. I think this is a great combination of young elite talent combined with some experienced transfers that we were able to acquire and really meet some needs that we desperately needed going into next season. Love these guys, one for their character, two, their maturity, their talent level, and really think it's a group that can help us next year, especially when you look at losing 7 NFL enrollees to the NFL draft. That combination of young talent as well as a couple transfers at needed positions, I think is going to propel us to our championship goals. So as we looked at it last time we talked back in December, we had 20 guys that were signed. We really felt that after diagnosing who we were going to lose in the NFL draft, there were 2 really big goals. One, to finish up on some exceptional elite talent here on the West Coast, and then to dive into the transfer portal and be able to acquire some needs that we felt we needed headed into next season. To be able to get some great news on January 2nd with Foreman, one of the best players in the country, an elite pass rusher. And then to be able to get great news today with 2 outstanding defensive players with Sierra Wright, an elite corner coming on with us, as well as Rajon Davis, a tremendous linebacker, really put the exclamation point on a great class. So 14 of these guys are going to be mid-year guys coming on with us that can be a part of spring, which is absolutely awesome. And then everybody else will be joining us in June. So with that, I'd love to take any questions that you have. It's a good day for the Trojans and a good day for our football program.
Okay, again, remember to raise your hand. Keep yourself on mute if you're not speaking. We'll start with Ryan Young.
Clay, obviously an impressive turnaround from last year. What was the pivotal moment or the turning point in your eyes to getting this to where it is now?
Yeah, I think there was a couple factors, Ryan. One, just the sheer numbers. If you remember, we only had about 12 spots last year to be able to sign, so sheer numbers helps the class. 2, the year before was a big man's class, which is not very sexy in a lot of eyes, but was very needed to acquire the likes of Cortland Ford and Jonah Mahe and Casey Collier and those type of bodies. But being able to have a full class was 1. 2, I absolutely loved the work ethic the entire staff gave in relationship building in a very adverse time, going through the world of technology like we had. We really made a strong commitment to basically duct tape the phone and the iPads to our heads and really dive into relationships with these families and created some great ones. I think the resources that we were given by Mike Bone and Brandon Sosna and the administration that really helped us from a personnel standpoint, a recruiting standpoint, a name, image, and likeness standpoint, and just kind of rebranding ourselves, I thought was extremely important. And then finally, I thought the biggest part of it was the ability to play. I'll just be honest, I was very nervous that we weren't going to get a chance to show who we were as a football team and our culture and where we were headed with young men. But to be able to play in 6 games, show young people, man, they're trending in the right direction. This is something that I want to be a part of. I thought was extremely valuable for them to be able to watch our style and our brand of football. And with that work ethic, those resources, some proof of being able to show us playing, I think it was a combination of all that. And then you had some guys that had belief, especially when you got the number 1 player in the country and Foreman that comes on and says, "Hey, I want to be a part of that." That helps with other guys. You got to think that helps with the Sierra Wright and it helps with the Rajon Davis. And so I'm very proud of this class. I thought they really dove into who we were. They took the time to get to know us. They had big picture aspirations, not only athletically, but academically, and what they wanted to do after football. And they see how USC can get you there with that. So it was a great culmination, and proud of today. It was a lot of effort over many years of relationships with a lot of these kids.
And then as you look back on it, how do you put in perspective Dante Williams' impact this year?
We team recruit. I'll always say that, but Dante obviously did a wonderful job. I've always said that some guys can elevate you and elevate an entire staff, and Dante was one of those guys that elevates the people that are around him. He's a great relationship builder, and obviously has strong West Coast ties. Was involved not only with the corners, but several recruits on both sides of the ball. Just his relationships and how he conducts his business is extremely impressive. And he has a passion for recruiting and did a phenomenal job this year.
Okay, we'll go to Antonio.
Clay, it's almost been a year since you guys hired Dante. When that hire was made, what message did you think that sent recruiting was?
It was really twofold, Antonio, I'll be honest with you, because I had been so impressed with Dante as a position coach. I mean, I think that gets lost sometimes. I think this guy's going to be a coordinator one day. He's going to be a head coach one day. And it was kind of when he came on, it was like, man, this is the culmination of a really good coach that is exceptional in recruiting also. And so I don't want that coach to get lost in what he does recruiting wise, because I think he's really good at it. But obviously when he came on board, you could see everybody's ears prick up and go, wow, that's a big move. And that's a move that can really help a program. And that's one of those resources that I thank Mike and Brandon Sosna for doing, to be able to commit and invest in coaches significantly and long term. That shows investment in a program. And so when you do that, you want to be able to reap the rewards of it. And we have, and it's evidence today.
And I know you guys added 20 signees during the December signing period, and then 21 with Corey. You guys added another 4 today. Are you guys at 25 for initial counters this cycle, or do you have room for more?
Yeah, we have room for more. If you remember, we only signed 12 from last year. So we have 13 that can count back. So we have a ton of space right now.
Okay, Ryan Karchi.
Hey, Clay. This time last year, you guys had only signed one top 100 prospect, only one of the top 25 players in the state. How much different does the state of your recruiting operation just as a whole feel now compared to this time last year?
I think there was significant changes. I go back to those resources. I know I keep on harping on it, but I thought we had a very talented individual in Spencer Harris and Gavin Morse, but they're only a couple guys, and to be able to bolster that recruiting group just from a personnel standpoint in the room, just sheer bodies help, and then to be able to acquire some of the technological side, the artistic side of recruiting. With graphic design specialists, with video production specialists, that's an investment that has to be made. Then you go into the staffing, and to be able to acquire, I think, really elite recruiters. The other guy that I know won't get mentioned, but when you're talking about Craig Niver, I mean that guy knocked it out of the park also this year. So you acquired some elite recruiters on staff, and so that culmination, it does. It feels different, right? And obviously you can see the benefits that we've had through this year with those guys. I commend them. They worked tirelessly at it, and heck, they literally took a 30-second break, and now they're on to 22s right now. So it's a never-ending process, and I appreciate for the men they are and how hard they work at it.
When you guys set out last February to make all of those changes, is this pretty much what you had in mind, or what you had maybe most hoped for coming in with a class like this?
Yeah, I was really impressed with both Mike and Dr. Carol Folt when we got done after the season and they sat down with me and said, Coach, what do you need? What do you need to get it to where you want it to go? And to be able to be asked that questions and then supplied the resources for it. To be able to say, hey, here's the vision. This is what we need to do. To be able not to lean as obviously this brand is exceptional and it represents the greatest tradition of excellence there is in college football, in my opinion. But you always respect this brand, but you fight like hell for innovation. And recruiting has become very innovative, and it changes by the second. And to have a president and an athletic director be able to say, you know what, let's give coach exactly what he needs to be able to push forward. I mean, that makes you feel good, and it shows investment in the program. And so I commend both Dr. Carol Fold and Mike for those investments that have been made, because coaches are good, but players help you win championships. And to be able to acquire the players that we did today and through the month of December, obviously will help us in the future.
Eric McKinney.
Clay, I know you said you wanted to attack the transfer portal a little bit.
Mhm.
With respect to kind of the portal as a whole. What was that approach this year, and then maybe moving forward to balancing going after the current high school recruits, and then also kind of maybe leaving yourself some space to go into the portal also?
Yeah, it's a great question, Eric. I got that question a couple times today on some other interviews, and we really had a plan going in that, and I think it's going to have to carry over to all programs and head coaches as their manager and their rosters. The transfer portal has kind of made us more like the NFL, to be honest with you. It's become a free agent market. And so when you look at the NFL teams every year, what happens? You have guys that retire. You have guys that become free agents. Well, in college now with the early signing date plus the transfer portal, there's a lot of transition that happens right after your season. And you could look up and just like we have, I mean, you have 7 NFL early enrollees, and then a handful of guys that want to explore the transfer portal. And you get that information basically after the signing day, after the December signing day. So, I think it's going to be in the future for everybody. And what we did, we acquired 20 what we thought were elite bodies, and then had space for us to be able to take a step back and say, okay, let's see what we lose to the NFL. Let's see what we're going to need to make an immediate needs and acquire, and be able to see what is still left out there from West Coast and other elite prospects that are waiting till February. So we acquired the 20 that really fit us, that we felt were extremely talented, that could help us, but saved us space to be able to go out into the transfer portal, and as well as save space to be able to acquire a Corey Foreman and a Sierra Wright and a Rajon Davis, who we felt we could not let leave Southern California, and those are the guys that are going to help you win championships. So I thought Spencer Harris, who runs our personnel department, did a magnificent job of keeping us on pace, giving us the big picture always, and being able to not just take guys, but take elite guys, and then take immediate needs that we needed. So I thought the patience in the process was very well done throughout, and we're able to acquire some needs that when you lose a Talanoa Fungo, or you lose a Marlin, or you lose 2 wideouts, that you can go out and be able to get those bodies. So appreciate Spencer and the job he did over this past year.
And then defensively, with the guys coming in, it feels like maybe there's a lot of hybrid bodies, guys that can play sort of multiple spots. Is that by design? Is that just elite high school football players now that can do that, or is that kind of the defensive look you're going for?
Yeah, Eric, you see 2 things that really happen in high school that we love. We've always loved. I go back to the days of Robert Woods and Marquise Lee and Dory Jackson, and how great they were on both sides of the ball. And you see that so much in high school football, that you're seeing guys that can play on either side of the ball. I think of a Jalen Smith, who we signed back in December, and how good he is on both sides. Sierra Wright's the same way. He's great on both sides of the ball. So, that's one. But also, I think in today's time, especially with the way college offenses are, the way our hash marks are, and how much field you have to cover, how much grass you have to cover, you have to have elite athletes. They have to have great speed, great explosiveness, cover a lot of ground, have playmaking ability, have ball skills. And so that's what we looked at. I mean, we are a nickel package by nature, and so you normally have 5 DBs on the field. So you saw us really revamp our defensive back core. I think that's going to have to continue in 22 because we're losing some older bodies in a hurry. And then the ability, I thought Rajon was a huge pickup for us because of his athleticism. I mean, when you turn on the tape, he's kind of what college football is going to, a guy that can, cover a receiver through the middle of the field and cover 2, a guy that's great out in space to be able to run the ball down, physical enough in between the tackles, in the run game, and truly can apply pressure in blitz situations. So he checks off every box. And so, yes, the answer to your question, Eric, is yes, the athleticism part in today's time is ultra important in today's game, especially how offensive players are getting better and better and better and better, and how much offenses are spreading out. Athleticism is key.
Adam Grossbard.
Clay, when you add a player like Corey Foreman, who's regarded by most outlets as one of the 1 or 2 best prospects in the country, how do you see that impact recruiting with the classes behind him? Does that pique any other players' interests?
Oh yeah. Well, I thought it helped with this one right off the bat, to be honest with you. I thought it would, January 2nd was a big day, and it showed other guys that here's one of the best players in the world, and he's staying right here to accomplish all his dreams and feel like he can get everything accomplished he wants to right here at USC. And, and when that happens and other guys want to join, of course, I mean, they talk and they visit together. But it's probably a big reason why Sierra's with us today and Rajon's with us today, and it will affect, that 22 class. When you see the guys that are coming in this year, there's a lot of West Coast kids that look at it and go, man, something special is happening down there. I want to be a part of that with those guys. And so it was a big pickup for us in a lot of reasons. One, the quality of person Corey is, the quality of player Corey is, but also his reputation and how he relates to the other guys and them coming on wanting to play with him is big.
There are a lot of marquee players in this class on the defensive side of the ball. Who on that side can you see contributing right away?
Like I said in the opening statement, I love this group's character. I love their maturity and I love their talent. They're very serious kids and very have a high standard for themselves. So, I'll be honest with you, I think each of them could help contribute next year, some significantly. And I think it's really important that I'm so glad that 14 of them are going to be here with us, this off season as well as spring. I think that's a huge piece of the puzzle. And then to be able to get those guys in right after graduation in June and July, the rest of them is really important for their progression in helping next year. But defensively, this is a really mature, talented group. And after losing some dynamic defensive players from last year, I think all of them have a chance to go in there and compete and show what they got. And as we've shown, we're not afraid to play freshmen. If you're the best player, you're going to be out there.
Let's jump down to shotgun.
Hey, Clay, the mantra for you guys this year was take back the West. Do you think you did that?
I think we had success in areas that we needed shotgun. For us, I was very proud of today. I really felt after, and I said this back in December, that I was very happy where we were, but there were some significant targets that were still left out there, and those significant targets were on the West, and so to on the West Coast. So with the spaces that we had left available, we needed to go out and sign a Corey Foreman and a Rajon Davis and a Sierra Wright to combine with the 20 that we've had. Ultimately, our goal is, I know that's been a mantra for the staff, but ultimately our goal is to bring these young men in and win championships. I believe once the championship's won, I'll be a lot more happier. And these guys I know are a significant step towards that.
Ryan Abraham.
Hey, Clay, can you kind of go over how you were able to acquire a guy like KD Nixon from a Pac-12 South rival and how you see him fitting in the offense?
Yeah, it was a unusual situation, Ryan, to be honest with you. And what a perfect fit for both sides. It was just the right timing. Here's a guy that, has 103 catches at his time at Colorado, 32 returns, so that experience just stepped out to us. He's been extremely productive in our league, and kind of was in a gray area, whether, does he go to the NFL? Does he go another year? And, with us losing Amon-Ra and Tyler to the NFL draft, we felt that we could acquire maybe an older experienced guy for a year that could help out that room with leadership, with production. And it was just a great fit for both sides. And having a chance to talk to KD one-on-one, man, he lights up the room. I think you're either when you walk into a room, there's a thermostat or there's a thermometer. You either control you control what's going on in the room, or you just sit back. KD's one of those that likes to control the room and lead, and that was evident in our discussions with him. And then you turn on the tape and you watch his production and his numbers. Obviously, played injured this year in basically only 4 games, and really only got to play like in 2, and still had 15 catches. He's been averaging 45 to 50 catches a year. So ultra productive player that it was just the right timing for him, the right timing for us, and a great fit for both sides. And it's great having him on campus and getting going.
And then I know it's not solidified yet. We don't know all the rules, but the future of name, image, and likeness, like how important was that for this class, using that as a sales pitch?
Yeah, it was, Ryan. We decided to be proactive rather than reactive to the topic, because it is going to come into play. And we have some huge advantages here. One at USC with the tradition of the program and what it's done for others, but also the city of Los Angeles. I mean, you're talking about the #1 college media market in the country, as well as the 2nd largest media market in the country. So overall, and so, when you're dealing with guys, I give a great, when you're dealing with guys like Sierra Wright, who's as talented as in other things as he is in football. I mean, he's a great academician. He's great in film, unbelievable personality. You're dealing with Corey Foremans and Rajons and this class, that's important to them. Is not only they have big picture aspirations that's past the 4 years. I mean, they see USC as a 40, 50, 60-year decision rather than just a 4-year experience. And what am I going to get out of it? I'm going to get the great opportunity to develop as an athlete. I'm going to get the great opportunity to develop within my academic career and what I'm going to do after the game. But I'm also building a brand while I'm there, and an elite brand that can go over a lifetime. So to be able to talk about that and have open conversations and show them what it can be like was invaluable. To this class. And so I really think being proactive in it is important than being reactive to the topic. And so we decided to be proactive, and I think it paid off in some in relationships that we had.
Okay, there's a couple more hands up. Let's do one question each. Mark Culkin.
Hey, Coach. Good to see you again. maybe you answered it and I wasn't paying attention, but when you were talking about the transfer portal, how much of your time did you spend recruiting players on your roster to stay as opposed to jumping into the portal?
Yeah, part of this experience of being a college football coach, being a head coach nowadays is going to be, I think, is going to be really strong, important to have strong relationships and be able to take times with individuals to be able to show them the future, show them their plan. And I've always said the greatest gift you can give somebody is your time. So obviously, Mark, yeah, there's always conversations that are had, and the one thing that the NCAA has done for student athletes is they've given them the opportunity to change their path if they choose to. And it's going to, and the one-time transfer rule is probably coming into play here very, very, very shortly. So it's going to be part of it. And you're going to have to be able to really be a mentor there for young men, kind of where they stand, what the plan is, where you see their future, being very honest with them, being able to tell them their strengths and their areas of growth. So they see a vision and they can see themselves moving forward and progressing. And you're going to have to take the time to do that. And as we know, when you're dealing with elite athletes, you got to take the time for NFL conversations too. And we've had multiple of those over the past year, so that's part of your roster management is being able to have conversations of what's best for each individual in the moment they're in, and sometimes that is to stay and to fight it out, and then sometimes it is in their best interest to move on. And so I thank everybody that has been here with us that decides to move on. There's several guys that have, over my 12 years here, that have had great experiences here, have gotten their degrees, and then we're looking for another experience. And so it's all part of it. But I think, Mark, that relationship building has got to be really strong as you move forward in this one-time transfer world.
Ryan Young, one question.
Can you give us some clarity on the 2020 seniors and who's decided to come back, who's decided to move on?
Yeah, obviously we have 7 NFL early enrollees, as you know. We have Jay Tufeli, we have Marlon Tui Pelotu, we have Elijah Griffin, we have Talanoa Hafunga, you have the two receivers in Amon-Ra St. Brown and Tyler Vaughns, and I'm missing one more. Help me out there, Tim.
Aside from the draft guys, so just because all seniors had a chance to come back for an extra year if they wanted to.
Yeah. So they're all back. Obviously, the transfer portal guys that have been out there. Y'all are all aware of guys that enter the transfer portal. That information is given to you, but everybody else is going to have the opportunity to come back.
Okay, thanks.
Antonio, one question.
Clay, could you walk us through where you were and how you found out Corey was signing with you guys?
I think Ryan reported it earlier too in a story, but I was visiting with him. But obviously, Corey actually signed back in December. That was why we were able to market and brand and do so much brand marketing with him. But he actually signed back in the December signing date with us, and really wanted to be able to tell it to the world in his own way. So there was not very many people that knew that he had signed with us, and have done it in the past with guys that want to have their own process to it. It's you got to be a good secret keeper, but it was neat to have Corey be able to tell his story in his own way, be able to share it in his own way, surprise a lot of our staff and the excitement. You would see a bunch of grown men turn into kindergarten students again, and that type of enthusiasm when he did it. It was neat to see. But then what was nice in him being able to sign back in December, you got to see a flourish of what we were able to do because he had already turned his paperwork in. We were able to celebrate it, so that was a large part of it. But Actually had conversations back with him right around the signing date back in December, and what a class act guy. I mean, he knew exactly what he wanted and what he wanted to do, and in asking him, why, he gave all the right reasons. I mean, he's got such a clear picture of what he wants to accomplish in college, and is so mature and so ready to go. I've always thought great players have a sense of urgency to be great. That young man has a sense of urgency to be great, and so he wanted to get started with it immediately, and so he's focused and working very, very hard right now to prepare for next season.
Do a final question from Ryan Karchi.
Clay, I know you talked about KD Nixon a little bit, but what sort of impact do you see for the other transfers that you guys were able to add?
Yeah, they all fit needs that we may have lost from the NFL draft, we just don't take guys to get guys. There's thousands of guys in the portal right now, and even more coming. But when we evaluated, Ryan, right after signing day at specific positions, and had changes at certain positions, that we said, okay, we need to dive into this. We need to look for this specific type of player at this position. And so we were able to do that and be able to acquire some guys that can come in here and help us and be able to get here in spring and be a part of us and be a part of spring ball and really learn systems and be able to dive in. So it was important for us to be able to acquire those guys and get them here. And we feel fortunate in doing so. I look forward to working with them.
Okay, Clay, appreciate all the time you took with us today. Congrats on a nice day today. A reminder to the media, and I'll send something out later, that on Friday at 11:30, we're going to have Coach Clay McGuire, our offensive line coach, available for you, followed by Coach Seth Dagey, our new tight ends coach. Same Zoom link as you're on today. And again, I'll remind you with the email in a little while. And with that, Clay, thank you. Media, thanks for joining us, and everybody have a great day.
Thanks, guys. Bye now.